Here be monsters! Again, but thankfully for us, we're safe behind the confines of a screen, comfortable on a couch with a controller clutched in our palms where nothing can scare us. Right? Yeah. Wrong, because if you've played any of the titles that has of yet featured on this list, then you'll know that the true fear lies within playing a horror themed video game. Truth be told, compared to video games, horror cinema is like having a train on a track. We can't choose whether a character creaks open that door or slowly steps down those steps to the basement, but in video game horror, that's exactly the point. We have to do that, and the weight of that responsibility is horrifying. And now, add on to that some of the most nightmare-inducing monstrosities ever imagined, and yeah, you get the picture. Hello horror fans, what's going on? And once again, welcome back to the Scariest channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. As per usual, I'll be your horror host Jack Finches. Today, we curiously take a look at the top 5 scariest video game monsters, part 2. Roll the clip. Don't know why I did that.
There's no need for words, Snake. I'm Psycho. That's right, this is no trick, it's true power.
For the curious amongst you, that clip was from 1998's Metal Gear Solid, one of the most awesome games ever made, and also one of the most awesome video game bosses ever created, Psycho Mantis. And if you've played that boss fight, you'll know that there's nothing like the realization that Psycho Mantis has just read your memory card and saw your Legend of Zelda save, and then complimented you on your prudence. Yeah, but it leads me to an important point. A lot of you in the previous video called for Alma Wade from the Fear series to feature on this list, but just like Psycho Mantis, no matter how monstrous they are, they're still technically human. So yeah, honorable mentions abound. Monsters, guys. Kicking off at number 5, Dead Hand, Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. I mean, what a place to start. Falling down a well and finding this guy is enough to ruin anyone's day, whether you're 8 years old playing Zelda for the first time on your cousin's N64 or a fully grown adult revisiting one of the finest games ever made. Every single time, this horrifying monstrosity of cobble spawn is enough to deeply unsettle you. Why? Because the Dead Hand just doesn't belong in a game of such staggering beauty and imagination. We already have an evil. It's Ganondorf and his stupid head, so why do we have to face this guy? Well, therein lies the point. The Legend of Zelda is a game about curiosity. By the time you've encountered the Dead Hand, you've spent countless hours roaming Hyrule, and after being an adult and learning the Song of Storms, and then being a child again, obviously you return back to the things you've seen before to see if anything has changed. Eventually, you're going to end up back here. That's just the nature of the game. And then, after all that build up and work and going out of your way, you head to the bottom of the well. And what do you find? This thing. The Dead Hand, a creature so terrifying that it has no place amongst the most evil of evils in this game. A bizarre, flabby, almost tumorous mass of flesh covered in spatters of blood with 2 tiny spiky arms and an enormous gaping skull of a mouth and teeth. Black, dead eyes and a jaw that eats Link's head in a single chomp. I mean, the fact that it's also one of the hardest bosses in the game aside, I mean, don't let the outdated graphics fool you, because encountering the Dead Hand was an experience like no other. There's no explanation for what it is or why it's there. It drops the lens of truth in the hover boots later on in the Shadow Temple. That's all we know. Hell, even the fact that it's infinite hands that shoot up from the ground is in question. Are they the same entity? Are they a different creature entirely? Why the hell are there vile, bony, skeletal arms shooting from the ground all over Hyrule? I don't know, man. I don't think I want to know. Swinging in at number 4, The Gatherers, Amnesia, The Dark Descent. As far as first-person, story-driven survival horror goes, 2010's Amnesia, The Dark Descent is up there. And if you've seen part 1 of our top 5 scary video game playthroughs, you'll see me trying to maintain my sanity throughout, as well as my oil supply. Now, for those of you that don't know, it's a frighteningly effective display of horror, down to the fact that it's a game that gives you virtually zero tools to combat the horrors that you unearth throughout the game. All you have is an oil lamp that slowly trickles away, that you constantly have to resupply as you run the risk of stumbling around Castle Brennenburg in the pitch black darkness, where you will undoubtedly go completely insane. And if that's not already a nightmare-inducing equation, then we add in these shambling horrors. I mean, just look at them. The Gatherers, the pale, bizarre, slack-jawed, twisted creations of the secrets that linger within the bowels of Castle Brennenburg. Now, I'll try my hardest not to spoil anything, because Amnesia is very much a story-driven game, and part of unraveling the game's rich lore is pretty much the primary mechanic and vessel for the horror. The origin of the Gatherers plays a big part into why these guys are terrifying, and the truth of the matter is, you'll have to piece that together through snippets of information. Hint. don't drink the wine. Listen, this game is incredibly Lovecraftian in its approach, and it's a fantastic depiction of a classic gothic approach to story-driven horror, but the Gatherers completely stand out on their own as Amnesia's single most horrifying interactivity, because you can't do anything to combat these guys. You just have to try and hide in a wardrobe and wait for this whole thing to blow over. Actually, if you're thinking about playing Amnesia, I'd recommend just hiding in a wardrobe for the entirety of the game. Then turn it off, yeah, it's probably for the best. Next up at number 3, the Banshee, Mass Effect 3. Okay, first and foremost, the Mass Effect series is one of the finest video game series ever created. Period. And yeah, BioWare may have sold their soul to the devil of late, but there's no doubting that Commander Shepard's universe-saving tale is unrivaled. I love it, it's a great series, and the Banshees are freaking horrifying. Fact. Perhaps even more so than the Reapers themselves, but hey. It also helps to clarify this list because the term monster can be interpreted in a few ways, but as so far as humans are concerned, or aliens in this case, the act of being transformed into a monster is where we draw the line, and that's also where the Banshees become a kind of tragic tale too. If you know anything about the Mass Effect universe, this goes without saying, but essentially the game tells a tale of a universe at war against an ancient evil, the machine race of the Reapers that cleanse the galaxy of all life every 50 or so thousand years. Their grunts, essentially, sci-fi space zombies that do their bidding, are creatures known as husks, transformed humans and other sentient species. Whilst there's a few variants of this horrifying space zombie species, brutes, cannibals and ravagers to say the least, the Banshee are unrivaled in their science fiction horror. Their origin though, that's where it's really bleak, and it's also kind of sad. The Asari, a race of serene and highly respected individuals who are elegant, caring, diplomatic, incredibly capable and also potentially super powerful psychics, are one of the most important and prolific races in the game. But when the Reapers get their hands on them, they corrupt them, twisting them into the vile, incredibly powerful and highly intelligent monstrosities known as the Banshee. And we're not even talking about how difficult these things are to combat in the mechanics of the game, because they're a mini boss fight in and of themselves, constantly shrieking a bio-psychic scream as their namesake would suggest. There's also a bug that can turn them completely invisible, making it pretty much guaranteed for her to land her insta-kill grab, and then you're just kind of done for and your party descends into chaos. Yeah, Banshees. Coming in at number 2, The Witches, Left 4 Dead. Now, you know that, as I often say over here at Top 5 Scary Videos, never piss off a witch. But in this case, it's don't startle the witch. Yeah. Okay, so about those Banshees, well, they pale in comparison to these long-haired husks of flesh and horror. Do you even know how traumatic it is to hear a witch sobbing in the distance for the first time? Wait, what's that I hear? I'm playing a game about zombies trying to survive my life alongside my brave, heroic party. Why is there something crying in the distance? Wait, what's that? What's that weird music too? Ah! A witch just one-shot me. Terrifying. For those of you that don't know, Left 4 Dead, both the first and second entries of the franchise, are a 4-player cooperative survival video game set during the aftermath of a worldwide zombie outbreak. The survivors have a relatively straightforward job. Survive, kill as many infected as you can, and make it to the chopper to get the hell out of there. Now, whilst the game itself is tense and anxiety-inducing by nature, but also fun, much like the husks of Mass Effect, there are a variety of horrifying creations to deliver the fear. The Boomer, a zombie that burps and vomits vile bile everywhere. The Hunter, a stalking monstrosity that slinks through the shadows. The Smoker, a vile creature with 6 long tongues that grab a hold of you. And the Tank, a gigantic muscle-bound zombie that does exactly what it says on the tin. And then there's the Witch, and all of them pale in comparison just by hearing her horrifying mechanics. I don't know what it is, but there's something about the possibility of stumbling upon a witch in any given map that sets her apart from the rest. Really, you have to experience it to understand the truth behind it, but just when you think you've got a handle on things, you've reset in a safe room, restocked on ammo, you've rezzed the noobs in your party, and then just as you turn a corner, you hear her, and you tread softly, and you know that it's going to be very difficult to survive. Yeah. Don't startle the witch. And finally, coming in at number 1 spot, Moon Presence, Bloodborne. Yes, because truth be told, we could probably make a 5-point list of pretty much every single creature that features in the fantastic action RPG Bloodborne, but if we have to pick just one, hands down, every single day, it would be the utterly nightmare-inducing potential cosmic horror Moon Presence. And also, kind of like with our number 5 entry, Dead Hand from Legend of Zelda, you really have to go out of your way to even fight this think, which will probably say something about the quality of your character, because even trying to execute this boss fight correctly is a glutton for punishment enough. Oh, and you'll also be near death already, given the fact that you can only fight the Moon Presence after correctly defeating one of the most impossibly challenging fights and kind of final bosses of the game, Gurman the Hunter, who is pretty much you, but instead wields a horrifying scythe that will one-shot you. If you make it through that, then there's no chance for respite, because then, if you're insane enough and you eat some umbilical cords found scattered throughout the game, yeah, don't ask, you'll then find yourself staring at a jet black moon and this Lovecraftian great old one emerging from the stars to rear its ugly head and then start spewing jet black liquid all over the screen, where you just can't move and you can't heal. I mean, listen, Bloodborne is an incredibly difficult game to play, and in the grand scheme of things, Moon Presence isn't as difficult as some of the rest, but it's in the oddly specific order that you even arrived at its feet that takes the cake. The fact that this is even in the game says something about Bloodborne, and visually speaking, this thing is just disgusting. Lore-wise, there's also quite a few allusions to Moon Presence being the literal origin of the point of the game itself, the hunt, and given the fact that if you defeat this cosmic horror, the game possibly ends with you being pretty much pregnant with its seed, ushering forth a continuous cycle of great old ones, blood moons, and then eternal savage hunts. Yeah, this is our number one. No question. Well, there we have it, folks, our list for the top 5 scariest video game monsters, part 2. What do you guys think? Do you agree, disagree? Have any more to add to this list? Let us know your thoughts down in the comment section below, as well as any choice picks of your own. Before we depart from today's video, though, let's first take a quick look at some of your more creative comments from over the past few days. First up, RJ Gregory says, love hearing you talk about these, Jack. Random fun question. What 3 items would someone need to put in a summoning circle to summon you? Alright, great question, RJ, and cheers for the support. I mean, I'd say don't summon anyone without their prior consent. It's just not polite. But I have to admit, I love the reply to this comment in particular, because Teatro Grotesco replies, well, one of his 3 shirts. Yeah, you guys are a funny bunch. You really, really are. I do have more than 3 shirts, I promise, but I film a few videos a day. Well, on that note, unfortunately that's all I've got time for in today's video. Just stick around all the way until the end. If you were a fan of this video, or just top 5 scary videos in general, then please be a dear and hit that thumbs up button, as well as that subscribe bell, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. As per usual, I've been your horror host, Jack Finch. You've been watching top 5 scary videos, and until next time, you take it easy.